We addressed it a little bit. I'm curious to know what you're going to say. Obviously, you've thought about this. I'm in the financial industry, so for me, everything within the industry I have to study because I'm in that space. I'm in the insurance space. The good, bad, and the ugly. What would be the solution? Like, what would really be the solution to not have some of these petty crimes that people are doing to put them in prison? Do you separate petty crime, petty criminals in different prison? Do you put them through a 90-day probationary school kind of system where you're on lockdown? What would your suggestion be?
I say this in the UK to people. We shouldn't be following the American model. We should be following the countries that are closing prisons down right now because they've got spare capacity. So petty crime, like I said, it's low-level drug use. Should that even be a crime? These people need help. Portugal had over 100,000 heroin addicts. They were following the American model. They said, this is not working anymore. Let's legalize, let's decriminalize, let's see what happens. The police said, if you do that, what kind of an example does it set to young people? Decriminalizing heroin, there'll be people doing this all over the streets. What actually happened was the addicts were no longer afraid of getting arrested. They talked to the health teams who counseled them, and Portugal more than halved their heroin addicts. Out of all of the types of drug users, heroin is a minuscule amount of drug use, but disproportionately it causes the most petty crime, shoplifting, burglaries, which isn't petty crime, it's more serious, and acquisitive crime. It causes the majority of it. When you legalise and decriminalise, because it doesn't cost much to give these guys medicinal grade, opium is just a plant that costs hardly anything, doesn't cost the taxpayer much, then they don't have to go out stealing all day. So the petty crime around it collapsed as well, and the transmission of diseases from sharing dirty needles.
It would be interesting because, when you go to Alcatraz, the first thing they do when you go to San Francisco, I don't know if you've been, they show you the stats. Here's how many people have done this. Here's how many people are in prison. Here's how many inmates we have. Here's what's going on with this. Here's what's going on with America. Here's where America ranks. I think number 1 and then number 2 is Russia, and then you see the stats going down. I don't know if America's figured out the perfect solution on how to do this. I saw there's a $76 billion a year number that we spend for prisons, and this is a 2011 stat, is what I saw. I don't know if we've figured out the way, but I do believe that there needs to be major adjustments being made because the direction we're going in, this current stat is 1 in 20 Americans will at one point go to prison. 1 in 20. That's a pretty big number to have 1 in 20 go to prison. So either, it doesn't need to be that many going, or there needs to be a better step process, 1, 2, 3, on what happens and how you go to it. What are your thoughts on that?
America does have it figured out exactly where it wants it. This is old school money. They don't want any changes. They want to be profiting tens of billions a year in contracts off this private prison system. That's just the private prisons. Include the prison guard unions, includes the lawyers, include all of the contractors to the prisons. There's like a pipeline to prison program in America now to enhance this. Cash to kids judges. The old money wants to maintain this. US federal government has got weed as a Schedule I substance, more harmful than crystal meth and cocaine, with no medicinal value whatsoever, because that's what maximizes corporate profits. They're not interested in the welfare of these young people who are getting tossed into these prisons. There's people doing 25 to life for joints of weed on the 3 strikes laws. There's people doing it for stealing pizzas, 25 to life in California. They tried to repeal the 3 strikes law in California. 25 to life for stealing a pizza, guy was doing. 50,000 a year, 1.25 million for $10 pizza. Why are we, the taxpayers of California, paying for this? When it went to get repealed, people who put money up to get it introduced, stopped it getting repealed. Prison Guards Union of California, Broadcom, exclusive provider of telephone services to the California state prison system. The taxpayers' money is a feeding trough to the corporations, to these parasites. The political contributions to the legislators and the politicians coming down are in the tens of millions. Why change that? It's just one big money go around by a select group of people. But what's happened is the American people are sick of it. At the state level, you guys are now voting to legalize and decriminalize weed. That's not the US federal government, that's the people. The people over there are sick of their kids getting thrown in these prisons where they just graduate to harder crime. They're sick of their kids who are having the seizures, can't get the cannabis oil, going into comas and dying. all these evil politicians who've maintained this for years have caused all these kids to die over the years who couldn't get their medicine. But when you now produce a kid on the internet and technology is making all this word spread so fast, these evil politicians can't go up against these dying kids, and that's how it's falling and falling at the state level. And that's the hope. I think the floodgate is open now, and the whole thing is going to collapse.
Yeah, that's what you foresee taking place.
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.